Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the latest from August Burns Red, Guardians, out April 3rd on Fearless Records. The album has 11 tracks, 49 minutes in length, and this is the band's 9th full-length studio album. I'm not one to use hip expressions, but I gotta say this album slaps hard. It slaps harder than a pimp on a busy night. This album will give concussions to people headbanging. It is just an absolutely incredible banger of a record. I had some expectations going into this album based on the singles that they released, but after listening to this album several times, I'm honestly blown away because it surpassed my expectations. This album is absolutely magnificent. I'm going to say this, to me, my favorite, okay, maybe not my favorite, but definitely one of my favorite albums from August Burns Red. I really love the album. I really love everything about it. And I just love how heavy, how melodic, how groovy this record is. The first thing that I really fell in love with this album was the overall structure of the album. I love the fact that it's not abrupt. It doesn't have these abrupt changes from track to track. It has a great fluidity to it. It's an album that, in my opinion, alternates styles. So you don't get too many songs in a row that have the same sound, the same feel, the same structure. It alternates styles from track to track with little nuances changing, different feelings, different emotions. Some songs a lot more methodic, a lot more melancholic, some of them more intense, more aggressive. So there's a really good combination of styles and approaches as far as sound and structures is concerned that plays into the overall structure of the album. I really like that. Has great playability. It's an album that just has an engaging approach track after track. The first one captivates you. It grabs your attention. But then as you progress throughout the album, you're just never able to walk away from it. It's not a record that you can just pause halfway through it, go do something else, and then come back to it. It just doesn't let you do that. It's just an album that has you a grip to it from the first all the way to the last song. And to me, it's a combination of factors. Definitely the structure, the sound, and how those two elements interconnect with each other to really give this great playability to the album. The third component that, in my opinion, really plays into those two, because to me there are three main ingredients that allow the album to have this great fluidity throughout. The third is the lyrical content. The lyrics on this album have a loose theme to it of reaching out to someone who's in need, to reaching out, to extend your hand to somebody who's in a bad spot, who needs some help. So there's a loose theme throughout the album that really connects the songs, that really connects the lyrics on every single track. And that to me is a really cool component because it allows the album to go into different places as far as the structure and sound, but still have a unifying force that holds it all together. So when you look at this album and you look at those three components, structure, lyrics, and the sound that it has, these three elements are really intertwined and they really work well in order to give an album that has great playability, that has this forward motion to it, not abrupt at any point, very well connected, very well concise, while still giving you perhaps a different look with every single song. Every single song has similar components, specifically with the theme and the lyrics, but every single song also has a different sound, a different approach, a different way of communicating to the listener. An album that, in my opinion, is also very emotionally driven, and that plays into the lyrics. When you have an album that has not a concept record, but it has at least a theme that spreads throughout the album, it's very easy for that same album to have a very dynamic emotional approach to it. And to me, this record does just that. It has a very dynamic emotional approach to it. You really feel it in the vocals, and that's my next point. Jake's vocals on this album, magnificent, on point, heavy, brutal, and most important, in my opinion, dripped with emotion. It really has the ability on this album to grab the lyrics, understand the mood of the song, understand the dynamic of the track, and then transport those lyrics into the song and really paint a picture. With his voice, he's painting a picture of what the lyrics and what the song are all about, of the emotions that are carried by that song and by those lyrics. And to me, his performance on this album is absolutely magnificent. I love what he's done. I love the way he approached each and every single song. Not only singing the lyrics, but really feeling the lyrics. To me, it's very important for an album like this that has a lot of intensity, that has a lot of aggression, a lot of melody, and even some melancholy mixed into that. It's really important for you to understand the tempos, for you to understand the momentums of the song in order to really get the most out of your vocals and to really get the most out of each and every single song. The guitars on this album are phenomenal. Groovy, heavy, melodic, really providing an incredible soundscape to the album. The sound, the overall sound on this album is really magnificent. I like the mixing, I like how they put it together, I like how it sounds. It's very rich. I wouldn't say that it's very polished. There is a little, it's not, the sound is not rough, the sound is not rugged, if you will, but I wouldn't call it necessarily polished. It still has a little bit of a vibe of a live record without sounding like it's a live album. But what I think they did was they captured the emotion of their live performances on this album. So it's an emotional album, and it's an album that really transports you to the live setting. And I think that to me is also a very important component in order to really carry that emotion forward and transmit it to their audience without the audience being there to see them performing these songs. But I think it's very obvious when you listen to this album that this is a record that they could pick any song out of the 11 songs, perform them live, and they would sound absolutely amazing. The album has great sound, great playability, and like I said, based on how it's constructed and how the songs are constructed, this will be a record that demands to be played live. Overall, this is perhaps one of the best things that has been released or that has come out in this shitty year. 2020 hasn't been by far one of the greatest years ever, but this album is really one of those bright spots on a year that's filled with darkness. This album really shines a bright light upon 2020. If there's going to be one thing to be remembered out of this year, it perhaps is this record. As far as songs are concerned, I really want to touch on 3 tracks that I fell in love with the moment I listened to them. I want to start off with Paramount. Has a slow build up, picks up intensity and aggression as it opens up into the chorus. I really like this song from that perspective. You don't see songs like that all the time, opening up with a chorus instead of going into the verses. This one starts off with a chorus. I really like that dynamic because it gives a jolt of energy right as the song is starting, and then as it becomes a lot heavier, it's more melodic in the chorus but becomes a lot heavier in the verses. It really has the ability to surround itself with heaviness and melody. This is a song that, in my opinion, really intertwines those two elements of melody and heaviness all the way throughout. Certain parts of the song, heaviness becomes more predominant. Certain parts, the melody becomes more predominant. But to me, this is a song that really blends those two elements to give a song that's very relentless all the way through. And the way those two elements intertwine, it's really the lifeline of this song. The guitar playing on this track is off the charts. It really becomes the motor that makes this song run. The guitars are just phenomenal from beginning to end. They just add a lot of energy. They're almost an extension of how emotional the vocals are. The guitars are the extension of that, and you can almost feel the emotion with every single note, with every single melody, with every single riff. Next, Ties That Bind. A very interesting song. This song has a great melodic underlining riff, sometimes becoming a little bit more predominant, sometimes just staying in the background, but it's there. It's really the backbone. It's at least the support of the song. At the surface, the song is very aggressive. It really blends different elements, and it's a song that, in my opinion, has this underlying very calm melody, but at the surface, like I said, it's aggressive and it's moving in so many different directions. It's a song that, in my opinion, just pulls the listener into all different areas. It's just, it doesn't have this constant approach. It's just very volatile all around. It just feels like it's bursting at the seams, or it's about to burst at the seams at any given time. It just has this very sense of being very volatile, a lot of volatility to the way this song sounds, to the way it plays. The chorus sounds very melodic. It kind of takes a little bit of the intensity out of the song. Not too much, but a little bit of the intensity out of the song. The vocals in the chorus also add to that melody. The approach to the vocals, to me, increases the melody of the chorus. One of the heaviest breakdowns of this album is in this song, and my God, it's earth-shattering. It just destroys everything around it, and I love it. And then as it moves on from that, it goes into the closing stages of the song, and it kind of becomes almost the same as how it started. So it's a song that really goes full circle. Last is Three Fountains, which is the last song on the album. I don't think they could have picked a better song to close off the record. I really love this song. Stripped down as it opens, it really matches the mood of the song. It's a song that has a very somber, a very dark mood to it. The intensity of the song increases, but it never removes the somber feel that this track has. Very important, because to me that is the main spinal cord of this track, is how somber, how dark it is. So even when the song increases a little bit of intensity, a little bit of aggression, it still feels very somber, still feels very dark. It has that vibe all the way through, and it's very present in the melody that it has, even in the heaviness, and how those two elements merge. It still has this darkness, this somber feel to it throughout the whole track. It doesn't matter what changes happen, that feeling always stays there. I really like the contrast in the sound and emotion. It works perfectly in this song. It's very present. There's this yin and yang between sound and emotion. I like it a lot. It's a song that then, as it gets closer to the end, it starts to dim out. It starts to fade away, and that fading away is very dark as well, but perfect closing. As you come into the end of the record, what a perfect song to have this almost to leave you with this sense of feeling, I don't know, this uneasy feeling to it, and because of the way the emotion of the track works on you. But then how it ends, there's a sense of closure, or perhaps a sense of something coming to an end. So I really like how this song is put together. I like the structure of it. I like how it sounds. And most of all, I like how it ends, because it really wraps up the album. It really closes off the album. It doesn't just close off the song, it really closes off the record. Alright guys, this is it. This is August Burns Red with Guardians. Let me know your thoughts on the singles, on the band. What are your expectations from this album? Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.